The swirling of dust surrounded me. I was afraid, lost. I had never seen a human this scared before. Bricks were flying everywhere. The tarmac was being ripped from the ground. Humans were firing weapons at the huge humans. I quickly ran and hid down an alleyway and hoped I wouldn't be seen, and for a while I was safe from the dangers. But the quiet didn't last long. Moments later, someone entered the alleyway, and I immediately got ready to run. That was when I first met my new mom. She came running down towards me, dressed in a black suit with blue stripes down the front. Her hood covered her head, but I could tell she had some kind of blue mask too. She saw me and slowly moved towards me. I could tell she was trying not to scare me. She stopped a little breathless in front of me. She crouched down carefully and looked into my eyes. I was shaking by this point, but I could tell she was friendly, so I did not run off. I waited to see what she would do next. "Hey there, little guy, or girl," the human spoke to me. Of course, she couldn't tell I was a boy. It was a dark alley. Then she approached me and held out her hands to stroke my upper back. It felt good. Her scratchy glove on my fur. I could definitely take more of this. I started to relax, and so she gently picked me up. "It's okay. I'm going to take good care of you until we find your mom or dad," she told me softly. I whimpered a little. I couldn't help it. She was so nice and comforting, and I was so alone. I just wished I could talk so I could tell her I no longer had a mom, because she had died in the battles with these strange humans that I kept seeing around town. I had no one and had been on the streets for what I would consider a human week. It felt like forever for me, and I had found scraps of food here and there, but it was getting harder by the day, and I missed my mom so bad. We walked a little while, and then she handed me to a blonde woman in a strange-looking blue and red uniform. I vaguely recognized her off the TV, actually. My mom used to talk about how great she was. "Can you take him?" my rescuer said to the blonde lady, and so she figured out I was a boy when she picked me up. "Where to? Do we know who he belongs to? Have you checked his collar?" The woman who rescued me in the black and blue costume quickly checked my collar. Blue, which kind of makes sense. Look at the dude's eyes. The blonde looked and grinned at me. "Oh yeah, how cute." I've been called cute so much I had lost count in my young life. Then she took me from my rescuer and held me in her arms. I could hardly believe what happened next. We flew up into the sky, and I am so glad she was holding me tight because I was freaking out at this point. We flew over the city skyscrapers, and finally, much to my relief, we landed on a stranger's balcony. "Lena, are you home?" She walked with me through the glass sliding door, looking for whoever this Lena person was. "Cara, what on earth have you got there?" The woman smiled as she approached us. Then the blonde lady with the really strong arms put me down. "His name is Blue. Alex rescued him on a mission. Leviathan were attacking, and she found him shaking in an alleyway." So that was when I learned of my new mom's name, Alex. The dark-haired lady stepped up and crouched down to me. She smiled, and oh my woof, she was beautiful. I'd never seen a more beautiful human, other than my own mom, of course. Now I felt sad again thinking about her, but then the beautiful lady started to stroke my upper back and then my head and my ears, and I looked at her with my bright blue eyes, suddenly blissfully happy again. "You are so beautiful, Blue," she told me. Then stood up and looked thoughtfully. "I wonder if we have anything we can give you." I followed her towards the kitchen, and she looked into a cupboard. The other lady came walking up behind us and spoke. "I can go and get something from the pet store real quick if you want." "Good idea, you know what dogs like? And don't forget some toys," the beautiful lady told the blonde. Once she was gone, the lady called Lena filled a metal bowl with water, and I had never been so grateful when she placed it down on the floor for me. I started to lap up the water immediately. I hadn't realized how thirsty I was until that moment. The blonde lady, called Cara, came back shortly after with a load of food and toys and treats. I already felt spoilt. After eating a good bowl full and a few crunches, I played catch with Cara before she had to leave again. It was a little later when Alex arrived. I was lying on the sofa with Lena at the time, watching the nightly news. Lena got up and answered the door, and Alex walked in, looking more like a human now, in civilian clothes and not that black and blue hooded thing with the rough black gloves. She looked softer in jeans and a jumper and a leather jacket. "Alex, love, come in. Your rescued pup will be happy to see you." Lena smiled at Alex, and I could see they had some kind of connection. Alex walked over to me, and I sat up excitedly on the sofa as she hugged me and kissed my head. "How are you doing, little guy?" She ruffled my fur with her hand. I just gazed at her sweet face. Her hair was down now, short on one side and longer on the other, half covering the side of her face. In that moment, I realized that my future mom was beautiful too, and I felt calmed by her and safe. She sat down beside me, and then Lena called her from the kitchen. "Would you like a drink before you go home?" "I'd like that, a beer if you have one," Alex told her. Well, one beer turned to a few, and soon I fell to sleep on Lena's lap as the two ladies talked, mostly about me, and how they were going to find my mom. I had moved to the end of the sofa in my sleep. I'm guessing Lena must have got up at some point and moved me. But now as I opened my eyes, I could see Alex and Lena closer together at the other end of the sofa, and Alex had her arm around Lena's shoulder, pulling her into her. "Alex, what about Blue?" Lena said softly. "Shh, Blue's sleeping," Alex told her, and then she touched Lena's lips with her own. I got a bit overexcited then. It looked like I had two new moms, not one after all. I pounded over to them and jumped on Alex's back, who almost shrieked in surprise, then started to laugh as Alex turned around and took a hold of me. "Great timing, Blue," she told me as she held me in her arms. I felt proud. I did a good thing and got even more over-enthusiastic and started to lick her face. Lena laughed even harder as Alex gently put me down. My tongue was obviously too much for her at this point, although I don't think she really minded because she started to laugh as well. Then, as the laughter died down, I watched them as they kissed again. Then I decided to lay down and close my eyes. I guess the humans needed some privacy. Over the next week, Alex looked after me at her apartment. She took me to that human called the vet one day. It wasn't my favorite place, but luckily for me, I didn't get jabbed with anything this time. They just scanned me and found my ID, through which they finally could find out who my mom was. When Alex found out the next day that I had no one, she told me that she was going to take care of me, and when she couldn't, Lena would, or Cara. I was fine with this because I liked them a lot. Then one day when Alex was out taking the trash, I sneaked out of the front door and ran down the stairway. I was missing Mommy Lena so much, and I just wanted to see her. I knew my way by scent to her office. I had been there before, and I knew she would be there at this time of the morning. When I got there, I waited for the humans to open the doors and made my way up to Mommy Lena's office. When I got there, I surprised her secretary, a really nice lady called Jess. "Miss Luther, there is a dog here to see you." There was a slight pause, and Jess replied, "Yes, I said a dog, and it looks like a Siberian husky." Seconds later, the office door opened, and Mommy Lena was standing there looking at me with what seemed like a mixture of amazement and horror. "Oh my God, Blue, what are you doing here?" Mommy Lena walked over to me quickly and picked me up. Then she took me into her office and closed the door. "Are you all right?" she asked. Put me down and looked at me with concerned eyes. I woofed and she smiled. "Okay, Blue, I'm going to call Alex because she is going to be frantic with worry. Now don't go anywhere." I stayed where I was, although the urge to run around her office was huge. It was so spacious and clean. Then I listened to the conversation on the phone. "Yes, Alex, I have Blue." "Yes, Alex, I said Blue is here," Mommy Lena said. Then there was a pause. "I have no idea how he found my office, darling." Another pause. "Honestly, he's absolutely fine." Another pause, and Mommy rolled her eyes. "Yes, Alex, don't worry. Blue can stay with me tonight. Just bring the wine, and we're fine." When she put away her phone, she stroked my head. "Alex was not at all happy that you ran off like that. You must not ever do it again." I looked up at her with my big blue puppy dog eyes and smiled. How can anyone stay mad at you? Look at your little face. She took my face with both hands and kissed my head, but it was obvious Mommy Alex was angry at me because I went to see Mommy Lena on my own. She didn't know where I was. This became apparent an hour later when Alex walked into Lena's office. Heaven's sake, Blue, never do that to me again, Mommy Alex said as I rushed up to her as she entered the office. She picked me up and I licked her face to show her how sorry I was. Yuck. Thanks for that, Blue. Mommy Alex cringed and put me down. I wafted her a few times instead, which made her smile, crouched down and stroked me. You scared me, little guy, she said. Then Mommy came up beside her and crouched down beside her. You know, if we moved in together, we wouldn't have this problem. Mommy Alex went wide-eyed in surprise. Do you mean it? You want us to move in together? Why not? Mommy Lena told Alex. We've been dating for a year. Why not take the next step and create a loving, happy home for Blue here? I just sat there wagging my tail as the adults kissed and I realized I was the luckiest dog in the world.